everybody in first place. Raise your glass, let's celebrate. Own lane in your own race. Why you got such a sad face? Not up to me, you chose your fate. It's a long way going down. All I can do is say congratulations. All you niggas do is slay and hate. But how can you hate when you can't relate? I ain't got time, I got moves to make. Cross the finish, not shake and bake. I don't know what to do with my hands. Look at this money and dance. Oh, man. She like, give me one more chance. All I do is give her cash. She get the cash, she drop it so fast. She on the pole, she doing her dance. I'm like, mommy, come give me that snatch. I'm like, quarterback and she like, hey, I don't give a fuck, she rockin' the back. She like, hey, she like, God is sick. Take the girl, they be rockin' the back. She remember when I tell her she can go get her hair perm. She can go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Who Got Game. Last week, we gave you a special finals edition outside from SLiC Studios. Today, we're all hungover and we're just chilling. So we're coming to you virtually, but we're going to bring our A game and our energy to talk about the NBA Finals, to talk about the Olympic team, to talk about some of the NBA offseason. There's already a lot of trade rumors going around and injury news that's coming out. A lot to get into, but we are now one game away from potentially crowning an NBA champion with the Milwaukee Bucks, up 3-2, rolling off 3 straight against the Suns. It's been a crazy series. I'm your host, Jason Zone Fisher, and as always, we'll be joined by Baron Davis in a little bit. But in the meantime, I want to bring on not only our very special guest, but also my frequent co-host and contributor here on the show, Pavy. Pavy, what's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you?
I'm good. I've been enjoying this basketball. You know, I don't even know who I'm rooting for in this series. I find myself just rooting for whoever is losing in the series because I want it to go 7 games. So throughout the first quarter of Game 5, I was rooting for the Bucks because they were getting stomped. And then once they took a lead, I found myself in the fourth rooting for the Suns to come back. And now going into Game 6, I think I'm rooting for Phoenix tomorrow night because I want a Game 7. I don't know. How about you, man?
I'm actually on the Bucks side now. Like, even going to the finals game in Milwaukee, that kind of converted me. Like, I think the fan base is cool. Also, Giannis has become a very likable guy. Like, I don't think we've ever seen this much of his personality. Like, even the one quote that he had when he was like, what did he say? Like, when you think about the past, that's your ego. I'm like, wow, It's a very great quote. It's a great quote. And also even the post game he had last game when it was funny and it was like, yo, why'd you call for the lob? He was like, I don't know. I'm like, it's hilarious. Like, he's become a very likable guy to me. So, you know, I'm personally going for the Bucks, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of really likable guys on both these teams. Drew Holiday, another guy in the Bucks who, like, I root for, just a great person. He seems like on and off the court. And the Suns, obviously, led by head coach Monty Williams. There's a lot of great stories over there, too. But let's, while talking about the Bucks, bring on the biggest Bucks super fan I know who's been on that Bucks train from the beginning. Here he is, the one and only, a hip-hop legend, a basketball legend, the man who spits fire on the mic, in the rap game and in the basketball game with all the hot takes. Glasses Malone. Glasses, thank you for joining us, my man.
I'm not a Bucks super fan. You ain't
well,
right.
You talk a lot of trash about the Bucks. I mean, like, on their side. I know you're a Laker fan for sure, but you've had the Bucks in this series from the jump, haven't you?
I've had the Bucks the whole playoff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You've been on the Bucks. You've been leading. You've been conducting that train. That's all I'm saying. You're on the bandwagon. You started it.
You know what it is Pavy and TPJ and Baron to tell you I'm the #1 advocate for defense.
Yes.
So I'm really big on great defensive players when they have the personnel around them to get it done. And when the Bucks got Drew Holiday, I knew that it was going to be special. And when they got PJ Tucker, I knew they were going to pretty much win the championship at that point.
Wow, the PJ Tucker move, that's what sealed it for you. So getting Torrey Craig out, he was a part of all that, to, sending him to Phoenix and bringing in PJ Tucker, that sealed the deal.
Well, it made it to where they was going to be able to beat the Nets no matter what happened. Because at that point, you can have a defender constantly defending Kevin Durant and challenging him. Kevin Durant has been on the record saying probably the toughest defender he faces is PJ Tucker. And then, you have PJ Tucker challenging Kevin Durant as much as you could challenge somebody as great as Kevin Durant. But it's nothing like when you switch off and it's Middleton, or if you switch off is Giannis, Lord knows, or even a Drew Holiday. Like, that's still special. So Once they made that trade, nobody stood in their way at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the Bucks, they were down 2-0. Did you have any doubts when Phoenix won those first two games? You still –
Pavy, did I have any doubts?
He did not have any doubts.
Unwavering.
Bucks and 7.
I have an unwavering faith in defense. Unwavering. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Miami Heat in 2006. I knew the Heat was going to win that series. You have Dwayne Wade, who's a fantastic guard defender. Shaq, with the potential, to be a great defender when he chooses. Mm-hmm. And Alonzo Mourning and Gary Payton coming off the bench. You feel me? Even when Dallas was up 2-0 in that series, I was like, yeah, the Heat is going to win. It just, it wasn't. And I picked the Bucks in 7 because I thought Bud would give away a game. You know what I mean? I knew the Suns were great enough to take a couple games, especially why the Bucks defense adjusted. But I was telling Pavy probably a night or two ago, I said, if Bud closes in 6, I'm going to write him a handwritten letter that I'm going to read and put on the internet. Maybe I need to read it on this show. It's a handwritten apology to Bud for disrespecting his coaching ability.
I mean, that man's been fired so many times by fans, even during the course of this postseason run against the Nets. I mean, it looked like he was going to be looking for a job during this offseason, and now he might be celebrating his first NBA championship trophy. It's pretty crazy how quickly the fate of an NBA career, coaching career, different players can swing in a couple minutes of a game and a couple of runs here. And the Bucks have been hot. 3 in a row and winning the first road game in the series in that pivotal game 5. And you mentioned defense. 2 of the wins have been really cemented by 2 big defensive plays. The Giannis block on DeAndre Ayton, and in game 5, the Drew Holiday steal that led to the alley-oop to Giannis that are definitely highlights that we will see for decades to come when we watch highlight reels of this Milwaukee Bucks teams or all-time NBA Finals moments. Those are 2 that have been stamped and cemented. What was more impressive to you? Because we were talking about the block, that was one of the greatest blocks of all time. Now we're talking about the steal to the alley-oop. If you have to close your eyes and envision this Finals by one moment thus far, what moment encapsulates all that this Finals has been about?
So obviously, whenever I do something, it's always going to be off the rail. It's always going to be different. And it's not on purpose. It's just how my mind thinks. The play that I remember is when Giannis pops out on Chris Paul after Chris Paul gets around someone and Giannis pops out. You can see Chris is just totally surprised and threw off guard and turns the ball over. Giannis forced that turnover. You know what I mean? The block is fantastic. Obviously, he kind of missed something and he turned around as the lob was in the air. That was just unbelievable. And even the play where Drew Holiday gets the steal, which that was so important. And they got Drew for the defense. You upgraded Bledsoe for the defense of Holiday. But really, Giannis came on the double team help. And that stopped. Because I think Book would have took that shot over PJ Tucker if no help comes. But right. Giannis comes, just a 7-foot guy with this 7'6" wingspan. And he posts up, and at that point, he turns around and look, and Drew is he's just like, this is mine. So I'm really happy that happened for Drew. Again, I always felt their defense would set in. I just believe in defense. They have a defensive player of the year. They have great defensive player. They have a great defensive coach. And I do need to put more respect, especially if Bud closes out in 6. If he closes out in 6, I have to look at the Atlanta situation a little bit more correct. He didn't have personnel, and he got those guys 60 wins. He got the next year to the playoffs. They had average offenses, but great defenses. But then they went against LeBron, who's one of the greatest, probably 5 offensive players ever.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? And then the last 2 years, not having enough defense to complement Giannis's defense, because that's where he's really blossoming. His offense, people could talk about his skill set or lack of abilities to make the big shot, but look at him defensively down the stretch. His defense is better down the stretch. At the end, he's making defensive stops. No, he's not making the clutch shot, right? He's making defensive plays at clutch moments, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you talked about, game 6 tomorrow night. It's going to be in Milwaukee, a place where the Bucks are now 9-1 at home. Is this series a wrap? Is there any way the Suns can steal this one on the road to force a Game 7?
Not impossible, man. It's not impossible. I can't say that because I'm not certain of Bud's. You know, he got me against the wall, and I need to put respect in if he closes it out. But I mean, I thought the Suns were. I thought Bud would give away a game. You know what I'm saying? And he hasn't gave away a game, so. Maybe he doesn't, you know, maybe again, it's not Bud. Maybe it was the fact he didn't have the personnel, you know, to really compete at the highest level. So I give the Suns a chance. You know, I didn't pick the Bucks in 6, but I would love for that to happen for Bud. I would love for that to happen for Giannis. Yeah. I would love for that to happen for Drew. Chris Paul, the look on his face would be priceless. You know, such an a-hole sometimes. So, you know, we'll see.
Man,
personally, I don't think just when I mean I know every game in the finals is like a different game, and you know it's a series and they own, but just after the way they lost the past 2 games, those were really demoralizing victories in my personal. But I think game 4 was the yeah, especially the last one, like you go up 17
best offensive finals games ever, and
it's not enough.
Run out of this world to close the game, and that defense sets in and you just turn the thing around.
To me, it's just demoralizing. Like, and then you got to go back to Milwaukee. You know that crowd, like, bro. I was there for game 3. Yeah. And it was the first finals game in 47 years. They got a chance to win their first championship in 47 years. You're not going to be able to hear. You're not going to be able to call plays. Like the whole first, like honestly, I think they're gonna lose by 20 points. I think it's gonna be reminiscent of sorry glasses, but that Lakers Celtics game 6. Remember in 2000, what was it, 8? When the Lakers walked out there and got smoked by halftime, they were celebrating. To me, I think it'd be reminiscent. To me, I think it'd be reminiscent of that. I don't see any way it's even within 10 points, in my opinion.
Yeah, they outside, man. It's 10 to 20,000 people outside watching the game outside.
More people outside than inside. It's a bigger crowd in their district than it is even in the arena, which is crazy. Fans are craving it. Being a Cleveland fan, it's very reminiscent of that, like a city that's waited 50 years to celebrate a championship. They're so hungry for it, and you can see the whole city is turned out for it, this amazing fan base, and they want it desperately. So I know the Bucks, they want to get it done at home. A great comment from Reefism. He said, you know, if the Bucks win, they'll become just the 4th team in NBA history to come back from an 0-2 deficit in the NBA Finals. That's a great stat, and it's looking like, according to Vegas, it is going to happen. They're now minus 400. The Bucks are huge favorites to win this series. Probably should have bet that glasses when they were down 0-2.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
What odds you get? You get some good odds.
6-1.
6-1. Not bad.
But even some of my friends, I took bets. They were down 0-2. Some of my friends didn't want to bet. I knew that they were going to. So I had a feeling they could win a championship. I picked them early. Yep. When they got through Miami, I said, okay, nobody stops them.
Right.
Nobody stops them at this point. It's tough, man. And Pav makes a good point, man. That is tough. Ooh, they're going to be going crazy.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, a finals series, it's all about adjustments that you make as you get on into the series. After those first 2 games, the Suns wins. We saw the Bucks make a lot of adjustments, Coach Bud. He went away from Brook Lopez, who's playing less minutes, getting more minutes for guys like Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis. And those adjustments have worked big time. The Suns haven't made that many adjustments. They're kind of sticking with their normal rotations and game plan. What, if anything, should they do to switch it up and give a different look, or maybe some different guys minutes or more minutes for game 6? Well, what can they do, Glasses?
They just don't have the personnel. They just don't have the personnel. It's just not there. They don't have the personnel. There's nothing they could do. Bud made great adjustments in game 2.
Yeah,
I mean the Suns just still shot 50% from 3. Yeah, you make 23 pointers, and me and Pav talked about this. He made great adjustments in game 2. I told Pavy after game 1, Chris Paul won't have another good game this season.
He has not. He's been Drew
is one of those type of defenders. Like his offense is clumpy, you know, and I hear a lot of people giving a ton of credit to Middleton for 2 decent games. Jrue Holiday through this series, you know, defensively has been a monster from the second game on. Offensively, it's clicking. The last game, everybody's talking about Middleton. Jrue Holiday has like 27 or 29 and 11, 12, something crazy. So not only is he, you know, clamping in those moments and getting those big steals, but he's still producing offensively. So, you know, they got their money's worth with Jrue Holiday, and I'm glad they were smart enough to pay him, you know, and lock him in, because you have – I told Pavy after the Miami series, the Bucks were a player away from back-to-back championships. I believe they were going to win this one, but they were a player away from back-to-back championships. So as far as the Suns, it's just no adjustments available. It's nothing to do. The players are not there yet. You know what I mean? Like Booker's still a season or 2 away. Aiden is still, you know, a season or 2 away. Chris Paul is, you know, in a bad situation. You know, they still need to make some adjustments to the team, but they don't have the person there. You can't stop Giannis offensively, and Giannis can guard everybody on your team. Every last person, I like Giannis in the matchup. Against Chris Paul, I like Giannis in the matchup defensively.
Can we talk about Chris Paul getting picked on defensively? Because in game 5 down, because usually you don't see people just search out Chris Paul. Chris Middleton was searching out Chris Paul down the stretch and getting quality buckets every single time. This is on the lowest of keys. Honestly, not even lying to you. Outside of the ones outside of the series that he's gotten hurt in, this is probably one of Chris Paul's worst playoff series. It's one of Chris Paul's worst playoff series.
Chris Paul is one of the 10 best defensive point guards of all time.
Ever.
Possibly 5. Like Chris Paul is an amazing defender. And again, so when you say a player is past their prime, it doesn't mean that they're not smart enough to create offense. It doesn't mean they're not smart enough to play the passing lane. But the athleticism he needs is his peak athleticism against somebody that's overmatched, and it's tough.
Yeah. Pavy, let me ask you this. I mean, you hear Glasses say the Suns just don't have the personnel to make the proper adjustments, that they might need to throw some new looks at the Bucks for game 6. But what players need to step up? Devin Booker's been getting it done. He scored 40-plus in back-to-back games, both losses. First time in NBA Finals history that a guy has dropped 40-plus in both back-to-back losses. That's never happened before. So, you know, he's putting the ball in the hoop after his poor showing in game 3 when he only scored 10. He's rebounded. But they've gotten a lot of less production from Mikal Bridges, from Chris Paul, as we've talked about, and his turnover issues. So who needs to step up, who maybe hasn't been, in game 6 for the Suns to steal a victory from Milwaukee's home court?
All of them. Like, even Devin Booker. Like, yeah, he got the 40 points. That's great. But one, he's always in foul trouble. Like, even I thought in, like, game 4, one of the issues was that he had 5 fouls. So it was in moments where you want him to be on the court that you have to take him off the court to save him from himself. And he probably actually should have fouled out the game. He should have fouled out the game in game 4. I also think game 5, he was also in foul trouble. Also, he's not really bringing much to the team defensively at the moment. I think Crowder is a guy who gets all of them. Aiden needs to step up. Chris Paul needs to have a go look in the mirror. But like Glasses said, I don't really think that there's much that the Suns can do unless they gon', you know, like players gonna get XP points. You know, like they're gonna go and upgrade my player before game 6. I don't really think that there's much they could do as long as the Bucks play the game of basketball the way that they play game basketball.
It's all defensive adjustments, Jason. That's the problem. It's deep. The problem is, I've been saying this the whole series. Defensively, you cannot stop Giannis. That matters. That matters, man. It changes everything. You know what I mean? They would need a game where it's gritty and grimy. They don't. I think what happens in the Bucks series now, and it's happened a couple times, the Bucks have found their rhythm. They're finding their offensive rhythm. It takes them a game or two. Now they all found their rhythm. So really, if I'm them, I make everybody – what I would do if I was Monty, I would make everybody but Giannis beat me. Like, I'd make you like everybody got to knock down their open shots. Giannis would not beat me this game. Or Giannis would not beat me this game. It's nothing else you could do. You have to stop Giannis. You know what I mean? It's nothing you can do.
Well, easier said than done. This is an unfamiliar position that the Suns are in. They haven't trailed in a playoff series this entire run, except for the very beginning, the first round when they were down to the Lakers 2-1. But since then, they have led or been tied, obviously, in every single series throughout the postseason. And now clearly their back's against the wall, win or go home. Their season's over. And if they're not able to win tomorrow night or come back in this series, what does this mean for Chris Paul's legacy? 16 years, this is his first trip to the finals. But is he going to be remembered for this career, all his all-star appearances, a great player, but will he always be haunted and known as the guy who just couldn't get over the hump, couldn't get it done in the postseason?
Unfortunately, yes, because that's just how fans, judge players. And then also that's just how we separate people. I mean, again, unfortunately, he's had a great career, first ballot Hall of Famer, but that's just how we separate people. You can't be in the same category as a Steph Curry, or as a Oscar Robinson, or as some of these other great point guards, Isaiah Thomas. Even if you don't get a ring, that's just how we separate people. Again, he's had an incredible career. I think that he's like Glass said, past his prime. Like if this was Chris Paul from even the Rocket year, you know what I'm saying? Like that year, maybe it would be a different animal. Maybe I don't know if that Chris Paul gets picked on defensively the way that he's been even picked on in this series. But I don't think it drops him down, but I don't think it helps him move up at all in anywhere, period. Personally, to me, at least.
Which is what I was saying before the podcast started about John Stockton. Same situation. You could give a lot of, bronze medals and fifth place trophies to what John Stockton's accomplishment. We could talk about he's the steals champion. We could talk about he's the assist champion. Right, but you didn't get it done at the highest levels, and that's what this game is about at the top, at the tipping point.
Right.
John Stockton's still one of the best 15 point guards to ever play. Chris Paul is one of the same 15 best point guards to ever play. But again, top 10, it's a lot of champions up there, man. It's a lot of Gary Paytons. It's a lot of Oscar Robinsons. I've always thought Zeke was too high on the list. I feel like Tony Parker is higher than Zeke, but that's my opinion.
I don't agree with you.
Man, I wish you were here right now because he's got some strong feelings about Isaiah and about John Stockton.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, he puts them in his top 5 point guards of all time. But as you saw Reefism just say, CP3 would be sort of in that same group of Steve Nash, John Stockton, great point guards who just couldn't get a ring, couldn't get it done. Where does he rank compared to those two guys, Stockton and Nash?
I think Nash is above both of those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Barely, but I think you're talking about probably 11 to 15 as far as point guards go. Top 75 players.
I mean, do we want to run out of top 10 right now?
I got time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can do it. You can, give me your top 10 point guards of all time. We'll see.
So I'm going to go top 5. Right, it's Magic Johnson. Right, who's the greatest point guard? I don't know what Baron Davis or who Jeter is talking about. Just silliness. And those guys are from LA saying that madness. It's silly, but Billy Billy's Magic Johnson.
Okay.
Respect because Bob Cousy was the guy. Bob Cousy.
For sure.
Right?
Okay.
Bob Cousy, MVP, 6-time champion, the hardwood Houdini, the man with the dimes, dropping people with one hand. It's cool, right? You got to go Big O.
All right. Yeah.
You got to go Steph Curry, right? And then Big O.
Okay.
Right? And then Tony Parker rounds out my 5th.
Wow, that's pretty high for Tony Parker.
I think Tony Parker is an amazing player. I don't know why do we talk so bad about Tony Parker. He was a fantastic European player. He came to the NBA, was a fantastic player. Got it done at the highest levels, 20-8 multiple season, finals MVP. He's spectacular. He's the same thing Isaiah Thomas is, but somehow Zeke, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like,
great player, but probably like the 3rd best player on his team,
Again, I don't know. When people say the best player, that's just such a tricky conversation because it depends on how we identify him. I don't think he was the 3rd best player. I think it was Tim Duncan and Tony Parker.
He played with Kawhi a little bit, so where
Kawhi wasn't better than him then yet.
Ginobili, obviously.
Ginobili is not better than Tony Parker. That's just not true. And I love the Euro step. I think he's more
influential.
Influential. But TP was cold, man. We just need to, we need to dedicate a whole episode. You know what? I'm going to request that y'all set up that TP and Baron Davis have a point guard conversation.
That would be great. Get a nice a nice burgundy, a French burgundy, and a baguette. Something like.
And we need to take that show overseas to France.
I like that. Yeah.
Respect, right. So
Baron with a beret. I can see that.
Exactly. Right there in the crepe. Crepe, right?
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of crepes, let's get back to your list because so far it's getting a little crepe.
You got Zeke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got Zeke at number 6, right? You got Frazier.
Walt Frazier, a name that people forget about.
Okay.
Right? Now my 8 guy is a little special, and people are not going to give him credit, but he is DJ. Southern California's own DJ.
Was he a point guard though? I feel like he was more of a shooting guard.
Dennis Johnson.
Point guard.
Yeah, he was.
DJ was a point guard, and DJ, and it's not his Celtics run, right? That I really
Seattle run.
Look, it's the Seattle run. He's the best defensive back. He's the best defensive player in the NBA. They won a championship with the number 1 defense in the NBA, and it's DJ, Southern California's own Dennis Johnson. I got to put respect on that man's name. I don't know how people don't, but that's their bad, not mine. Right?
All right.
And then we're going to go Jason Kidd.
Okay.
Right, that's 9. Number 10 is GP.
Where is Russ for you?
Probably 15.
And
15?
If Russell Westbrook were playing in the era of Oscar Robertson, would he not be in that same conversation that you just put Oscar in your top 5?
Well, he'd be Oscar.
Right.
But he's not playing in that era. Listen, the thing about athleticism, right, it's all evolution, right? You don't have Russell Westbrook without Oscar Robertson, so you couldn't put him in his era because it's years and years of Magic Johnsons and Oscar Robinsons and great athletes that gave you Russell Westbrook. That's why he was able to evolve as a human. So I think Russell Westbrook is a fantastic player. I think Russell Westbrook is in the same conversation as a few of the greats, but it's just tough. So I judge basketball by your career and how you accomplished. That's how I came up with Ben Wallace had a greater career than Patrick Ewing. I'm not worried about how I look at the game. I'm worried about what you're able to accomplish in the greatest times of your career. So that's basketball. And at that point, you got, Russell's career is still going. You know what I'm saying? So you got Russell, but he can win and change that. He can go to the Lakers and change that 1 year. He jumps right into the top 10. So John Stockton, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Steve Nash, all those guys are outside the top 10.
Steph Curry you didn't say.
Yeah, I did. He was number 3.
Oh, he was 3. He was early. Okay.
Well,
You brought some other names that threw me off. There.
Magic.
All right.
Magic, Cousy,
Yeah.
Steph.
Okay.
Big O.
Yep.
Tony Parker, Zeke, right? Willis Reed. Credit to Willis Reed. Put respect on Willis Reed. Excuse me.
Walt Frazier.
Walt Frazier.
I'm thinking of Willis Reed. Walt Frazier, right? Number 8 is who did I say was number 8? DJ. Right? Dennis Johnson. Number 9 is Kidd. Number 10 is GP.
All right. Those are all great players. My list would look a little different. I don't know that it would include Tony Parker or Walt Frazier or in my top 10 at least, or DJ. But everyone has a different definition of what makes the top 10. But speaking of legacy, which we're talking about, if Giannis is able to win this championship, which it's looking more and more likely that that's going to be the case, and come off back-to-back MVP awards, Defensive Player of the Year, didn't win the trophy this year, but potentially leading his team to an NBA championship and an NBA Finals MVP award, where does this cement his legacy all time in NBA history?
Glasses.
Pavy said glasses. Top 15 all time.
All time. Top 15 player of all time. Already.
Okay, so there's only been 5 players in the history of basketball that have won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
MVP is an offensive award ever since they created Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
There's only been 5 players that won Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. Right? So you got
MJ.
Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Kevin Garnett, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 guys who have won it in the same year.
Right.
Michael Jordan,
Hakeem
Olajuwon,
and Giannis.
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
To come and win a championship within your first 8 years of the the NBA, right? You're the 2-time MVP, right? Defensive Player of the Year, champion MVP finals. You're easily, I can't name 3 power forwards greater than you. I'm not being honest at that point. They didn't have greater careers than you did. So I'm not going to lie to myself. He jumps right into that top 15 conversation, right off the rip. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard to argue with that. The numbers don't lie, the accomplishments, the awards, the trophies, and, this is now a ring on top of it. And the scary part is, how old is he, Pavy?
26. I think he's 25, turning 26.
That's crazy. And also, look at what he is doing in this NBA Finals, scoring 40 points in back-to-back games, getting it done, rebounding, defensive plays, and the fact that, 10 days ago, we thought he might be out for a year with that injury.
I actually like just watching him in this finals. You can tell he's still ailing, but I think
still hurt.
He's obviously still hurt, but I think the injury weirdly enough helped him offensively because I think he's less reliant on his power and he's doing things that I haven't seen him do previously before these finals. I think he has he's showing the touch that I didn't know he had. He's playing a lot more below the rim, and also these finals lets me know that Giannis is going to be here for a very long time. Because before a long time, because before with the way he played, I was worried about with age, attrition, mileage, it might go down.
Is he gonna be able to dive in and his body hold up to it? It's a great point.
But with these finals, clearly seeing he's ailing right now. Clearly, he's playing a lot of old man game. He can be 33 and do everything that he's doing right now. He's gonna be here for a very long time. Like, look, everybody knows LeBron is my guy, but it hurts me to say it. But it's facts. If he wins a ring, he has had a better career than LeBron James has had up to this point in LeBron James' career.
I don't know. I don't know about that. LeBron dominating day one. Giannis was a slow build to get here, and then it was a rocket.
Look. His peak has been high. Now, obviously, yes, he's been on like a 4-year span or whatever, but these 4 years have been arguably some of the best 4 years in basketball history. To keep it all the way G with you in the history of basketball, you got to think I think Larry Bird in the 80s had kind of a run like this. Obviously, Jordan has had a run like this. LeBron has had a run like this. Probably I would say Miami or the last year in Cleveland. Going into Miami. Steph has had a crazy run like this, and this is just me thinking
without help. As people tend to use that lame terminology, disrespecting all these great NBA players, there are no other perennial all-stars on this team. There are no Dwayne Wades on this team. There are no Chris Boshes on this team. There are no Ray Allens on this team. Hell, there's no Kyrie Irvings on this team. There's no Kevin Loves, let alone an Anthony Davis. And I'm not comparing those two because LeBron James is a top 5 player all time, the greatest player to ever play his position, hands down. But again, I look at him and I see this evolved version of Hakeem Olajuwon, right? Obviously not the same skill sets as the Dream, but just this unbelievable athlete, man. And it's so amazing as a Nigerian person, right? He was born in Greece. We look at him and he doesn't have this American ego. He doesn't have this American ego to hold him back. 100%. He's not, he doesn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone except himself. And it's so refreshing to see it. I think it's great for the children today in America to see that you don't need – America teaches us to have ego and put too much on our reputation and pride. That's enough for that. Let's go out here and make great things happen. People told me forever, you have to figure you're the best rapper if you're a rapper. No, you don't. If you actually size yourself up where you're at, you can actually get better at everything. So I love that it's happening to a guy like that. Everybody's rooting against him. It couldn't happen to a greater guy. I'm happy for him, and I hope he closes it out. Again, I'm going to read my handwritten apology to Bud. I'll read it on this show, and I'll send it to him in the mail and make sure he can put it up and frame it on his wall because sometimes we got to put respect on these people's names.
Facts. Like like I even said just like before the show when we were talking, like this finals run has also really showed Giannis' personality, and he has a really good dope personality. Like even when he made the quote about ego, you know, he was like, you know, I don't really talk about the past. When you talk about the past, that's your ego. When you talk about what you're gonna do, like that's your pride. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of wisdom for somebody who's 26 years old. People 50 years old ain't figured that out, you know. And then also like even his fearlessness, you know, like for you to go up there, you know, shoot 60% from the free throw line, but he ain't never scared to go.
Yeah,
like it could be the like Giannis will take game winning free throws. He might miss them, and next game he go right back up there and take the same ones. Like even there was a quote that he posted like, "Yo, I've been through everything. I've been dunked on. I've airballed free throws. I've been through everything. I've been, you know,
in series. You've seen him fully mature and take his rightful place, right, as the guy in this NBA. The NBA has a great guy they could build behind at this point. He missed a free throw in the last game, got the rebound. Like that is what the game is about. You know, it's not about worrying about, you know, we spend too much time. Yeah, I hate that right now they're trying to take credit from, Khris Middleton. No disrespect to Khris. Khris is a good player. You know what I mean? A top 10 small forward. Not a top 5, but a top 10 small forward in today's NBA. But again, man, like it's not about what you don't have. You know, great coaching, great, you know, to be great in life, it's not about what you don't have. It's about showcasing and overexerting what you do. And Giannis does it on both ends of the ball. Okay, you're going to make me miss 2 free throws. Now you're going to come back down this court and I'm going to force a turnover. That's, you know, he's not even shook at the moments anymore. It's like he's talked and walked. He's talked and walked himself through it. And the NBA is going to have a problem on their hand moving forward if he's able to close out tomorrow.
He called for a lob with 17 seconds left when he's up. Do you know how stupid that is? And then even when they asked him about it, Posey was like, "Yo, why did you call?" But he said, "Exactly, I don't know. I was just in the moment." I'm like, bruh, that is fucking. I saw it. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
And I'm glad they did it.
I'm glad he did it. It made one of the best plays I've ever seen actually in my life. But it was like, yes, one of the best I've ever seen in my life. Like, bruh, for you in that moment to throw a lob, like, what if you throw it out of bounds? There's so much that can go wrong.
So much could have gone wrong. It worked out perfect. But what was Chris Paul doing? Why foul him? Why push him? I mean, really the deal.
It's like when Draymond Green fouled LeBron James. Like, you're not supposed to dunk the ball at the end of the game. You're supposed to run the clock down or get a foul. And it's like, you know, Chris was trying to do what you should do in that situation. And, you know, again, outside of the block, right, you know, that picture is unbelievable. But Chris Paul trying to foul him and him dunking should be one of the most important moments in still photos in NBA history.
With LeBron in the background, which is also ironic.
He is going to be okay without you, King, brother.
Going to be moving. It is an iconic moment. Maybe we got a TopShot Pack. Maybe we'll get into that in a little bit. Maybe it's in there because that's an NFT. That's a moment right there for sure that people will be seeing for years to come, the changing of the guard in the NBA. And I'm so glad you guys brought up Giannis's personality because he is, for as great as he is, so humble. He doesn't profess himself to be the greatest in the player. He lets his game do the talking, and he just comes across as just a likable guy. I mean, look at for years they haven't been able to get it done in Milwaukee. He is loyal. He re-signs with the Milwaukee Bucks. He stays there. He re-ups. He stays in a market like Milwaukee because loyalty is important to him, and that's something that is so rare in today's NBA. I mean, imagine Anthony Davis being in that situation. I know you're a big Anthony Davis guy. Now he's on the Lakers, but he would not be doing that. Their personalities to me are yin and yang.
You know what's funny? And it makes me think of Dame. Shout out to Dame, Bay Area, California love, right? When you decide to go to another team, you have conceded you are not good enough. You are not great enough. You're not great enough to actually. They can't build around you. Right. You know what I mean? It's like a concession you make, like, yo, I can't get this done. Yeah. And it's a tough concession because, you know, I don't know how true it is, right, with players. Honestly, I don't think LeBron couldn't have got it done with Cleveland. I think I like the challenge of it, But it does still make it weird when you pop up with champions and finals MVPs and perennial all-stars on the same team. It does take luster away from it.
Kevin Durant's rings in Golden State. Does that mean the same as Giannis winning with the Bucks, as LeBron winning?
No, it doesn't feel the same. And you know, again, that's why a lot of times I take my own. Yeah, that's why I don't trust the eye test, because it would berate LeBron's championships at times, or KD's, and that's not what this game is about. You know, those guys made great decisions to put themselves in the easiest and best chance they had to win a championship.
Right.
But it is something special when you see those guys who be like, you know what? I am going to get this done. Look, I'm going to trust you guys to provide Drew Holiday for me. Right? Because when they got Drew Holiday, a lot of people was like, that's all they did, and you stayed for Drew Holiday. And then they still was making moves and somehow got PJ Tucker. Like, God opened up the defensive heaven and slid PJ Tucker to him.
Right.
You know? And so, and you get it done. You know, the road opens up for you and you get it done through injuries, through adversity. That's the story. That's the game. You know what I'm saying? That's what this stuff is about. It reminds me of when Hakeem Olajuwon won in '94. You know what I mean? It's like where it was the inevitable, and now the inevitable has presented itself.
Well, that's a perfect segue to talk about another guy who has made a lot of headlines in the past week about his future, and that's Damian Lillard. A great player, a perennial all-star, always leads his team into the playoffs, always wins, even deep playoff runs. I believe they made the Western Conference Finals, but they've never really been a real threat, and they've never felt like they are good enough to win a championship. If you were Damian Lillard, should he request a trade? And if so, what's the best situation for him? Or, like we're saying, does it mean more to do it where you started to get it done? And if so, should he stay? And what pieces, what do the Blazers do? They're kind of stuck in this, like, you know, 4 or 5 seed every single year.
I mean, I think me and Glasses are kind of on the same page. Like, we talked about this a lot. I think Dame should ask for a trade. I think the place needs to ask to go with Philly.
Portland should ask to trade him.
Him. They should want to trade. Let's keep it all the way real about Dame. Love Dame. Dame is one of my favorite players to watch ever.
And he can run.
Huh?
And he can run.
Yes. And Dame got bars, but he's one of my favorite players to watch ever, because I never watched Dame and be like, man, he don't want it. To me, Dame always looked like he wanted it. But let's keep it all the way real. He just turned 31. He is a 6'1", 6'2" guard. How much longer do you really think he has to play at this elite Dame Lillard level? Yeah. To me, I think Portland will be better. 4. That's a lot of years, bro. I think he's in the playoffs every single year. I think he got maybe 2-3 years maximum to play at this. Again, if he was a 6'8" forward or something like that, maybe 4 or 5. Okay, cool. But as a 6'1" guard, he don't have too much longer to play at this elite level. So, to my opinion, yes, Portland should probably explore other options. And I think what they need to do, me and Glass talked about this a lot. Philly, call up Philly, go get Ben Simmons. Dame, you go to go to Philly. It's a perfect match for both teams. I think the Blazers will probably still do the same thing, go to the same place in the playoffs with Ben Simmons, and it would fix most of your defensive problems because you get one of the best defenders in the NBA. For Philly, it could help them play like they play 2 different ways. Ben Simmons need to be up and down the court, but in a half court, he doesn't really provide you too much with the way that they run their offense. Also, Tobias probably is better served being a third scorer than a second scorer. And Dame is more in a half court. You have, an inside-outside type option. I think it would serve both teams well. And to me, that gives Dame the best chance to actually win a championship.
Right today.
You can go to, because again, like I said, he's 31. So if you trade for Dame, you think, we gonna win it. We can either get to the finals or today. You go to New York, that's what we're doing the Melo era. Literally, it's all we're doing. Now, Garden gonna be lit. We're gonna sell some jerseys. We might win 50 games, but you're not gonna actually achieve nothing. Right. So to me, the move is Philly. If he want to go, no issue with that, but go to Philly, bro.
I like Philly. I like the fact you had that other guy that can guard down there. Who's the shooting guard that can guard that? Tybal, right? So you got Tybal, so there's somebody that can cover you on the defensive end.
He might have to be included in that package, though, because I don't know that a 1-for-1 Simmons for Dame.
I mean, you probably just go picks and you probably go max it.
In my mind, 1-for-1 would work, but if I'm them, right, I would because Dame really kind of starts to take away shots from Seth. So at that point, I'd be looking to send Seth to Portland. I'd be looking to send Ben to Portland. And if I'm Portland, I win the trade because I have 10 years of being able to get a player, right, who can get me into the playoffs, the same place I have, and I could build around him. It opens up CJ's game. I'm sure CJ will watch this and be like, we're crazy, but I think we get a better version of CJ because he gets to be his guy on the perimeter. There's nobody he needs to share that responsibility with. I think you get Robert Covington, another great defender. To you guys, you two guys can lock stuff down. I think you give you can actually start defending. Give Chauncey some defense. You know, Dame again, man. Dame is one of those players where his offense is really great. You know, he's one of the better offensive guards in the NBA. But the problem is, on the other side of the ball, he still is 6'1", and he's not necessarily been defined as one of the better defenders. Right. So let's get him with Embiid, who possibly can be a better offensive player. You have that type of polarizing offense, right? You have Tybalt, you call it, right? Is another great defender. You got Tobias Harris. You have a great situation, right, for them to win today. And if I'm Portland, I'll make that move because I secure my future with a 6'11", 6'10" point guard for 10 years. I can coach him. I can get to this second round. I give CJ an opening. You know what I mean? It just makes sense. You won't lose anything, but you at least get more years, and you get somebody that's probably going to be in the best defensive backcourt player ever.
Well, it's crazy. Something like that could happen sooner rather than later, potentially, because obviously the NBA Finals could wrap up as soon as tomorrow night. And then we've got the NBA draft just 10 days from today. Free agency will start. Summer League is only 2.5 weeks away, something like that. So the NBA never sleeps. And the second that the NBA Finals are done, this will be the focus of conversation. One more big thing in NBA news that we've kind of glossed over, haven't really talked about, is Kawhi Leonard. We knew he was hurt, and it was something with his ACL. They kept it pretty hush-hush during the postseason. Would he come back? Could he come back? But he had surgery to repair a partially torn, I believe, his ACL in his knee. So that's looking at what, like 7, 8, 9 months recovery. He's going to be out most of next season for the Clippers.
He's not playing next year.
You think he'll be out the full thing?
Not playing. Because they say basically the same repair is, even though it's partially torn, the repair is the same thing you do for like a full ACL tear. And knowing Kawhi, he's already had injury history. Like this is what, July? He said he had surgery 2 weeks ago. That means you put him at like April. That's like right. I can't imagine Kawhi jumping into the playoffs after not playing a whole season. So to me, Kawhi's not playing. He's not playing till 2020, what is it, 23? Yeah, that season.
Damn. Well, Pavy, I think I saw a tweet you said. It was like, low-key, you kind of – it might be okay. The Clippers kind of have to offer to re-sign him. He's a free agent because it's a bad look if they don't for their fan base. He's, one of the best players, their number one option. But I believe you said in your tweet they might be better off, like, letting him go or letting another team take the Kawhi Leonard.
Now, you don't want to let him. First of all, he has a player option, so he could just opt in and do whatever. But even if he doesn't,
who doesn't want to get $41 million? If I'm the owner, if I'm the GM, if I'm the team, I'm obviously begging Kawhi to resign, right? I'm whatever you need to happen. But if you're going to leave, because what I keep hearing is Golden State, hey, let me get Wiggins and Wiseman
and them picks, and you can have Kawhi. Take
that,
what I mean?
If you're going to pay him the money he needs to rehab, and I would do it, right, and make sense of it, and you still have a future and you have some opportunity. But I tell you one thing, forgive me for saying this, as much as I love playoff P, if I lose Kawhi, I'm trading P too.
The Clippers, the talk about that we talked about, I mentioned this earlier, how the fate of a franchise can swing just based on one game or one moment so drastically. They really put all their eggs in the Kawhi, Paul George basket. And they got in a position, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt this year, we might be talking about them potentially a game away from winning a championship right now. There's too many unknowns. We don't know. They could have been there. They had it teed up. Glass is saying no, but they were pretty close, even without Kawhi Leonard against the Phoenix Suns, to be in the finals, right? That's the position you want to be in. Now, they didn't. They couldn't get it done without Kawhi. They needed more firepower. And now if he's out all next year, they have no draft picks. They don't have assets for a long time. They gave them all up. They gave up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They bargained. They mortgaged their future for this run, for this squad. What options do the Clippers have now where do they go from here to be a title contending team?
I don't even know if the Clippers, like, first of all, their window has completely changed. Like, their window actually, to me, in my personal opinion, is shut, honestly. Because, like, even when Kawhi does get back, you're talking about, 2 years later, it's probably going to take him 1 year to fully recover. Also, he's a guy who's had injury history previously, and he's a guy who's played deep. Even though he's been in the league a decade, it's not a normal decade. We gotta think he played with the Spurs, so you talk about deep playoff runs every single year. Paul George as well is a guy who has had injury history and has, for the most part, had playoff runs every single year. In my personal opinion, like I said, for Kawhi, it's probably better, honestly, if he opts out, signs the max, but signs and trades if he wants to go somewhere. I think because the Clippers could probably give him the most money, and for him, you probably want to secure your future and make sure that you get the most money that you possibly can instead of just taking $40 million. But again, I'm no financial advisor. I don't know. But if he does do that, they need to get young assets, man. They don't have any young assets on the team, like none, for real. And also let's not forget Serge Ibaka. He has a player option too. He just had back surgery.
Oh boy,
he's opting in. He getting $13 million. Ain't nobody gonna pay him more than $13 million off back surgery. So he's opting in as well. They need to get younger, get young assets. Basically, for the Clippers, I just think you want to be a competitive basketball team long enough until you get in your new stadium. The new stadium coming up in about 4 or 5 years. You want to make sure that you
haven't broken ground yet. So no matter how fast they build, it's going to take a couple of years for sure. Yeah,
Pavy, this is his thing, the Clippers. So you could bet on what he's saying. I didn't ever think the Kawhi PG project was going to work. If you go back to some of the oldest Hoops and Brews, I always doubted it was going to work. I don't believe in two small forward on the court at the same time. I don't believe in, the inconsistencies that presents. Positionless basketball is an overstated concept that's being misused and mislabeled. That's not what it's about. I heard he wants to go to Golden State. I'm trading him to Golden State. I'm getting Wiggins. I'm getting Wiseman. I'm getting some picks. If I can get some picks, I'm trading Paul George. I'm getting some players. I'm getting some picks. And I'm going to reset again and see where I can end up at. But what I would not do is pay $80 million to two players when you don't know what the next 2 years are going to look like. So I'm not paying $80 million next year for two guys that I don't even know the following year is going to look like.
Man, it's quickly, they had a chance, it looked like, at certain points in that series against Phoenix to potentially pull this off and make the NBA Finals, the furthest the Clippers have ever gone as a franchise, the Western Conference Finals. And so quickly, with the Kawhi Leonard injury news, with the loss, how the fate of that franchise in the future looks a lot different today than it did just a month ago. Pretty wild turn of events. Before we get out of here, we also got to talk about the Olympic team because Team USA, they come out the gate losing their first two exhibition games. And now they're headed off to Tokyo, and just breaking news in the last hour, they're going to be doing it without Zach LaVine, at least initially, because he's being held back. He's entered the health and safety protocols. Already Bradley Beal's not going to be joining the team. Kevin Love, who was questionable why he was even invited in the first place, but he's not right. His injury situation, he's off the squad. So they get JaVale McGee and Keldon Johnson to step in and come up on the team. But this squad, this is not going to be a cakewalk for Team USA, where in years past it's like just give them the gold. It's an all-star team. This feels like an odd situation, and there's no chemistry with this team.
What's hilarious is if a team in the NBA had Dame Lillard and Kevin Durant, we would think that team is going to win.
Jason Tatum.
And Jason, you have Jason, you have Dame Lillard, Tatum, and Kevin Durant.
And we'll give you Greg Popovich as the head coach.
And Draymond and Bam.
Draymond.
What the hell?
I don't know who writes these stories, bro. Listen, I'm not going to jump out on the record and say, I think the rest of the world has gotten better at basketball.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I mean, we're getting a ton of European, African, Australian players every year, Canadian players. Everybody's getting better.
Yeah.
No question. But it is a matter of figuring out how do you make these guys work together. I do think it's funny that everybody's acting like they're in trouble. Like it's not.
They're not in trouble.
Dame Lillard, Tatum, Durant, right? So you can play them at 1, 3, and 5. There's not a center in the world that Kevin Durant couldn't guard that's not an NBA center, right? So it's not a center he couldn't guard. He can guard Pau Gasol for crying out loud.
I think he did guard Pau some yesterday.
He can guard Pau Gasol all night. He's 7 foot. He's fine. You just have to play defense. That's it. You just have to play deep. You can't depend on your offense like players do. You have to strap in. And it's going to take that kind of effort. Draymond Green's on this team for crying out loud. Who cares if they don't have Zach LaVine? Who the hell cares? You have Dame Lillard, Jason Tatum, and Kevin Durant. That team in the NBA is winning a championship, at least we believe they are. Let alone you have Draymond Green.
Yeah, Bam Adebayo. I mean, it's an all-star team, absolutely. But
I actually think there was some addition by subtraction. I think that sometimes when they pick these USA teams, they have too many scorers. Like, bro, you don't need Bradley Beal, Dame Lillard, Kevin Durant, Jason. Like, bro, it's only one basketball. And also, these guys are with the way you play in the NBA and the way you had to play through FIBA. You're not just gonna ISO your way through FIBA basketball. That's not how the rest of the world plays. If you're gonna run offense, you have to run sets. You have to run plays. So you need people who do like Keldon Johnson had a great game against Spain. Why? Because he does other things. He's not somebody who wants to sit there and ISO. He cuts, he dives, he runs the full, he plays defense, he does those things. I think it was actually addition by subtraction with losing some of these guys because you have to JaVale McGee. He's the guy who, like, the goaltending rule overseas is different. If I'm not mistaken, you can hit the ball off the rim. You trying to tell me JaVale McGee don't want to slap the ball off the rim? It's a great pickup of Team USA. Incredible. Like, Team USA will be fine. I think that probably you were in Vegas, you had to put a team together for 2 weeks. And these Australian teams, like, again, first of all, it's 5. They got 5 NBA players. Ingles, Patty Mills, Exum, Tybalt was on there. Like, basically, they have people who can play. It's not like 30 years ago when you was playing against whoever the hell. Like, these teams, like Nigeria, you laugh.
Nigeria has like 6 NBA guys.
6 NBA players. Yeah. One of them was a first-round pick of the Miami Heat.
Mike Brown is the coach.
And Mike Brown's the coach. Who I also think Mike Brown is probably going to end up getting another NBA job based off of this Nigeria. Like, if he can coach Nigeria to like a bronze medal or something like that, I think he might end up getting a coaching job.
And rightfully so. I want to say something. So 2 things. One, Mike Brown should be in Philadelphia coaching. Right? But I know they're not going to get rid of Doc. Much love to Doc. I don't have no problem with you. I just think that you need to really get your defense together. That's crazy. 2, I've been saying for years, I love Pop. I mean, we ran against Pop a lot of times. Popovich is probably the most overrated coach in the history of the NBA. And if he doesn't win a gold with this team, this proves that point.
Well,
there's no reason why this team should not win a gold medal. It is Dame Lillard, Tatum, Kevin Durant, and Draymond. There's no way possible. This is still the best talent in the NBA, even though everybody else's talent is getting up there.
Yep.
They're still not these guys. If Pop cannot pull this off, again, I will say this. He's the most overrated coach in NBA history.
I don't know about that. I mean, Pop is a pretty. I think
Pop
everybody.
Pop ain't made the playoffs in forever, Jay.
I will say Pop has been looking very outdated ever since number 21 stopped playing basketball.
Duncan, man, listen. Sometimes great players allow you to do some things, but when you really, you know who I like, who's my favorite coach? He may not be the greatest coach, and he don't get the credit he deserves. But my favorite coach, Larry Brown. That man could coach. And when you could, and to Bud, a guy like Bud credit, Bud put together the get along game in Atlanta and somehow got them guys to the playoffs. That's coaching. To take Tim Duncan and win, Tim Duncan is a winner. And I'm not knocking him, but if you can't go over here with the best talent throughout all the rosters and get it done, if you over here looking like the Spurs, when they not getting to the playoffs, looking crazy because the stuff you doing, because it's stuff you doing, Pop, it's stuff you doing. you doing? Again, it just validates my point. I've always looked at him sketchy like, is he really that good of a coach? He's a good coach, but I just don't think he's a – people have him like top 3. Some people have him over Phil. I'm like, I don't think he's a top 3 coach. I think he's a top 10 coach. I think maybe he's like in that bottom half.
Hey, I mean, I think Phil Jackson's an incredible coach as well, but the same argument that you're making with Greg Popovich and with Tim Duncan and the talent, people always say that about Phil Jackson. Yeah, he had Michael Jordan, he had Scottie Pippen, he had Shaq and Kobe. I mean, look at the talent that he had. So he won, but
you ain't got to convince me. I'm a Larry Brown guy.
Okay, all right.
Pat Riley is probably my favorite coaches.
Okay,
I love Pat Riley. But I think that's the thing with Phoenix. I hate to say this because I love Monty, but they need to implement the triangle. I've always thought having a point guard with a backcourt player that's dominant, that as good as Devin Booker, doesn't really help.
Takes away from the
it doesn't help.
Takes away from the
if they're gonna try to sign Chris Paul to an extension, I get it because it's successful, it looked good, and they're gonna be there. But really, they need to be trying to trade Chris Paul right now while he still got some magic, and they need to get a small forward who can pass the ball. You can get a playmaking guy that can defend, that can pass the ball. You know what I mean? You don't need that kind of playmaking presence next to Book. It takes away from him. It helps sometimes and it helps Aiden, but I think that's when you need to implement a system so Aiden gets his looks. And Devin Booker is going to be fine, but I think that's one of those same things. So, again, I just think I need to see Pop do it twice. The thing to Phil's credit, he's done it twice. You know what I mean? And I agree. He's had some really amazing talent.
Three times.
Yeah. I say he's had some amazing talent, right? But he has got it done twice.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give him credit. For me, Red Auerbach is the greatest coach, then Pat Riley, and then you start going down the list. So Pop, this is Pop's chance to prove it because he does have the best talent, and there's no reason why this team shouldn't win a gold medal. We would expect this team to win a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. They have the most talent by far. I don't think anyone's arguing with that. They should win. It's just they have not had the chemistry thus far. They haven't had the defensive effort thus far. They've had a lot of COVID issues, more than a lot of these other countries are dealing with. There's been a lot of
wilding out.
And 3 of the guys on the Team USA roster are not even thinking about it because they're still playing in the NBA Finals. So they're going to get Devin Booker, Chris Middleton, and I believe Drew Holiday are joining Team USA.
Great. I was worried for us. For me, I was worried about good old red, white, and blue, but we all right, man. We get Book over there. I don't know if they just keep they got to play some defense, man.
They don't build teams. Like, they don't actually build teams. They just take all the best players and be like, all right, y'all come on.
Like, you want everybody that can score
30. Like, bro, you building a team, bro. This is not the All-Star game. You have to actually run actual plays to win, bro.
Yeah, teams need guys like a Jay Crowder, guys who they don't show up with a Patrick Beverly. Guys, it's not necessarily about the stats they're putting up. It's about the effort they're putting in. It's about the charges they're taking. It's about the defensive stops they're making and big threes. Yeah.
So I know we got to wrap, right? And I was going to ask Baron this when he came on with all of y'all. I want to ask y'all a question. Me and my coach was having a conversation, Coach Will, and we were asking. He was saying Chris Middleton. He felt Chris Middleton was a top 10 most skillful player in the NBA, and I was like, I don't know if Chris Middleton is a top 10 most skillful player. And he said, well, name 10. And I started to run off the 10. So, right, you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Those guys are more skillful, right? You obviously have Steph Curry, who he tried to debate. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I said Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Skillful.
Yeah.
Right? So he had
you're not talking athleticism. You're talking about their skill.
Right, their skill, repetition.
Harden.
I wouldn't even say Harden. I didn't even give him Harden. He wouldn't say Harden. I'm like, I wouldn't say Harden. I wouldn't say skilled with Harden because Harden is skilled. But again, I wouldn't say that. Like, I'm not certain. It's players that I'm certain. Is Klay Thompson more skillful?
No. Debatable, but I would say no. I don't think he can do as well.
Not a variety of skills, skillful. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of the most skillful players to ever play in this league. But that doesn't mean he had a variety of skills. He was skilled at his game.
Sure. Or like,
Who do you like in the mid-range, Khris Middleton or Klay Thompson?
Mid-range?
Yeah.
Middleton?
I like Klay still.
I like Middleton, especially if we got to dribble to it.
right.
That's where it gets tricky at the dribble to it.
If we don't have to dribble Klay, but if we got to dribble mid. Also, I think mid has a better post game than Klay, for sure.
I don't know, man. It's tough. But anyway, the point was I was saying, is Khris Middleton one of the I wanted to ask
Yeah. BD. I mean, I don't know. That's hard.
In the audience, I wanted to ask the audience, is Khris Middleton a top 10 skillful player? Can you name 10 more skillful players than Khris Middleton?
I think
we could. I think we could name 10.
I think it's a debate, but at the same time, like mid has a great case. Like mid is I think Tatum is more skilled.
And I'm not sure if I would say Tatum is more skilled.
That's fair. That's fair. Like
I'm not sure.
I would say that.
That's certain to me, right? The 10 that's certain to me, right, is 2 guys in Brooklyn, obviously. The 2 guys in the Clippers uniforms, right? Steph Curry, right? Joker and Embiid.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Joker and Embiid. And that's where it started getting kind of creepy because I was thinking of other players. It's like,
Trae Young?
I wouldn't say Trae Young.
I wouldn't say Trae is more skilled than him.
It's a great conversation. And I thought, I know we can't have it, but I was thinking for your audience, that would be a good thing. I got 7 for sure. And it's just getting to 8, 9, and 10. And I was thinking like, that's tough. I thought Bam was more skilled.
Bam
Adebayo.
I don't think his offensive game is as developed.
Context, yeah.
I don't think his offensive game is as developed as Middleton. But even though Middleton isn't as developed defensively as Bam, but I don't think his offensive game is as developed.
We only talk about offensive skills.
Nah. Bam offensive game is nowhere near as developed as
Booker.
Mid.
Booker.
Yeah, Book. Yeah.
Book,
but even with Book, like, I think Book is more consistent. But I think Mid got all those same moves.
Yeah. Says, how about LeBron? We haven't said LeBron.
No,
man.
He's just too athletic? I mean, he's pretty skilled too.
No. He has skill, but he don't like. In my personal opinion, I never thought LeBron had a bag until like year 17 in Cleveland. That was he was doing shit I'd never seen that man have step backs and everything else.
And it's still in rhythm. It's still a rhythm game. Khris Middleton is dry, flat, knocked down. Book, yeah. But see, I wanted to say this too. The separation at the top is very minute, and it's really written in consistency. Khris Middleton on his best day is Carmelo Anthony.
Literally.
On his best day is Carmelo Anthony, right? Carmelo is that. Like, that's how good Carmelo is. On his best day, he's Carmelo Anthony on his best day. The problem is on his worst days, that's the problem. And the NBA and the best players at the elite position are consistently the same person. You know what I mean? That don't mean they don't have some drop off, but they're consistently the same person. And that's the separation Khris Middleton offense. I think his defense is more consistent. I think defensively he always is there. He's always going to challenge. He don't have off games. You don't have to hide him. You can use him all night. I think that's where he really earns his money. You know what I mean? I think his offense is flighty. It always have been. Just the same way I felt about the combination of Kawhi and Paul George. I think it was going to make Paul George's offense too flighty. And the thing that should have been consistent, like the Bucks, is the defense. The Bucks are going to win every night.
And for whatever reason,
they don't take off.
They just, it's a riddle as to why they don't do it. I have no idea why.
Who?
The Clippers, as to why they don't play defense every night. I have zero idea why.
Mike Brown. Who would you like to see Mike Brown with before? What's the defensive? Who has the personnel defensively that would be like, man, Mike Brown needs to coach this team? Because I would like for him to finally get some defensive personnel.
Honestly, to keep it with you, I mean, they just got a coach for probably like Orlando. Honestly, like Orlando, like probably like the good young team they can play. They got Isaac, they got Markel, they got Bamba. They have some good young defensive players. I think Jonathan Isaac is the future as long as his knee gets back right. He's the future defensive player of the year. I think a young team like that.
And I hope he doesn't get mad because I like him as a coach too. But I don't the right coach. I think he should have Mike Malone's job
in Denver.
I think if he coached Denver, he would bring out the defense they need to compete at the highest level. The problem with Mike is a great offensive coach, just like Terry was for Portland. But the thing is, when it's said and done, you have to defend in this league at the highest levels.
Fair.
But if you give Mike Brown an MVP and you give him Gordon, you give him an athlete like what's the small forward?
Porter.
Michael Porter. You give him a mind like Joker. Your boy will be back.
Jamal Murray.
Will Barton.
Maybe. Will Barton declined his option, so maybe he'll be back.
So then you can find the last defensive personnel you need. Give Mike Brown that. Don't give Mike Brown and LeBron James that didn't want to defend, that Pat Riley conned him into defending. Give him some guys that are willing, and I think we look at Mike Brown's legacy completely different.
Fair.
All right. Well, he's Mike Brown. He was Houdini with getting hired and then getting fired, but collecting checks from multiple teams at the same time. Mad props for that. He was getting paid by the Cavs and the Lakers while he was sitting and coaching with Steve Kerr in Golden State. So I just like to come back as Mike Brown's agent because he's doing well. Yeah, man's doing all right. Before we get out of here, I got another NBA TopShot pack. It's a special playoff edition pack. Should we open that real quick, see what moments we got?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, NBA TopShot, they had a special playoff release. All these moments, I believe, are from the NBA playoffs, so let's check that out right now. Here we go. Okay, so we got a total of 3 moments here. Glasses, I already know, but tell me anyway where you want to go.
To the list, F.
Of course. All right, here we go. To the left, let's see. This playoff moment is from your Lakers. It's Ben McLemore from the Lakers. All right.
Ben with the knockdown.
Hitting the 3.
Stepped into it, too.
Now, that was not a playoff moment. So one of these 3 will be from the playoffs. That's just against the Brooklyn Nets this year.
Oh, that's when KD mama was yelling at him, and he started going crazy.
It was in that game?
Yeah, no, seriously. Like that's like if PP kept looking at the bench, that was KD mom he kept looking at.
All right, I love that. Okay, I like this moment a lot more now. All right, Pavy, where you want to go? Middle or right?
Right.
All right, we're going to the right. Let's see if this is the playoff moment from the Miami Heat. This is
the playoff moment.
The playoff moment when he ripped Drew Holiday and stuffed it. A big moment in a game that they lost by 34 points right there. Kendrick Nunn. Yikes. Okay.
Trade for Colin Sexton in Miami.
Kendrick Nunn is one of those future animals that we're going to look at 5 years. He'll be somewhere making a difference. Kendrick Nunn.
I'll hold on to that then, that playoff moment. Maybe it'll be worth something one day. Let's see. In our final moment here in the middle from the Atlanta Hawks, Cam Reddish. Oh,
that's what he was trying not to go. Oh, okay.
Step back 3 over the Bucks.
That's in game 6. But he was
this is from the playoffs as well. Yeah, game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. A nice moment in, again, another loss. So got 2 playoff moments, both in their teams getting crushed, but some nice moments and losses there. Cam Reddish.
Dreams, man. The Bucks broke some dreams.
Yeah. Man, all right. They did. They beat a lot of teams along the way, sweeping the Heat, then upsetting, I would say, the Brooklyn Nets. Most people had Brooklyn in that series, and then taking down the upset Hawks. It's interesting, man. All right, well, before we get out of here, is the NBA Finals, is it a wrap? Is it ending tomorrow night?
Yes. We're going to a funeral.
I'm gonna leave it to Pavy because I don't know. I need to see it happen.
We going to a funeral, bro.
Well, Pavy says Bucks in 6. We had the watch party last week. at SLiC Studios, and Brandon Jennings was claiming Bucks and 6.
Yo, real quick. Do you know something crazy? I didn't know this till my homie brought this up. You know Brandon got traded for Khris Middleton?
Yep. The reason that Khris Middleton is on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Brandon Jennings got traded for. I did not know that. My homie brought it up. He was like, bro, you know Brandon got traded for Khris Middleton. Why it was so funny, like seeing him root for the Bucks. I'm like, yo, he did get traded for Khris Middleton. He got traded to Detroit because Detroit actually picked Khris Middleton first, and he got traded from Detroit to Milwaukee for.
It was a sign and trade for Brandon Jennings. Ended his career there. Traded to the Pistons, and a throw-in in the deal was the 39th overall pick, second-round pick, Khris Middleton, who ended up being the second best player on this Milwaukee Bucks team. That is
whoa. Don't do that.
All right, sorry. You want Drew Holiday?
It's a defensive team. Let's give credit to Drew Holiday.
All right, sorry. Maybe third best. He's their top 3. He's a key piece. He's part of the key 3. Yeah, for sure. All right. Nice. Well, Glasses, I won't say whether you are the second or third MVP of this show. It's all the big 3 here, man. And we appreciate you being a part of our big 3 here on Who Got Game, as always. BD overslept today, but you never know with him. He'll be back next week, as hopefully we all will. Glasses, appreciate you being here. Pavy, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching another edition of Who Got Game. We will be back again next week, and we will know who the NBA champion is, whether it's the Bucks or talking about some crazy Chris Paul comeback with the Phoenix Suns. Unlikely, but possible. Anything is possible. We'll see you then. Enjoy the game, and take care. Stay safe, everybody.
She can go get